And out front now, one of the members of the House Intel Committee, Congresswoman Jackie Speier. Congresswoman, thanks so much for joining us.
Great to be with you.
So your committee, as I take it, is going to be focused on Volume 1 of the Mueller report. That's the Russia interference in the 2016 election and the Trump campaign's contacts with Russia. What specific questions do you have for Robert Mueller?
Well, I'm not going to tell you exactly what I'm going to ask because it really will depend on what his testimony is. But I think it's very important that we drill down on how much of the interference by the Russians was welcomed by Donald Trump, how much of it was encouraged by Donald Trump. We do know that there were 270 different contacts by the Trump campaign with Russian operatives. And there were over 34 meetings with Russians during the Trump campaign. I mean, this is pretty remarkable. This is an adversary, and Donald Trump and his campaign is meeting with these individuals who want to give the president, then the candidate, dirt on Hillary Clinton. There is no question in my mind that the Russian intervention went further than what has been told to us in the Mueller report even. I feel very certain that they got into the campaign in a way that we don't know, and got into the machines, the voting machines, more than we know. And we may never know.
And I want to go back to you saying that your questions were going to depend on his testimony. He has said flatly that he will be sticking to whatever is in the report. So I'm assuming you already have questions prepared for him in line with that.
So I'm going to ask him, as I'm sure many other people are going to ask him, if you did not have the Justice Department guidance, which is not law, mind you, guidance that says a sitting president cannot be indicted, would you indict him? And he certainly will be asked that question in the Judiciary Committee and probably in the Intelligence Committee. The other thing that we're concerned about, because it's an Intelligence Committee, is the efforts for counterintelligence activities going on with Russia. The fact that Paul Manafort and Richard Gates met, both the campaign chair and campaign vice chair, met with Mr. Kilimnik, who has been established to be related to the GRU, one of the Russian military intelligence agencies, and shared polling data, not just once or twice, but a number of times during the campaign, and went over their strategy for the 18 states that they were focusing on. That, to me, suggests that there was certainly an invitation to cooperate. There was an interest in coordinating, and you need to go no further than the Cuban cigar club that they met at and then all exited from separate doors.
The president says that he will not be watching, for one. Do you believe that?
Of course not. He can't keep himself away from the TV. He will be watching, and I'm sure he will be in executive time during the entire day of the hearings.
Congresswoman, we spent a lot of time talking about how you and your committee are preparing for the hearing. Robert Mueller is also very familiar with these types of hearings as well. I want to play for you what former Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe said that his advice for those questioning him and how he believes that Mueller will come prepared.
Were I Congress, I would pick the top 3 or 4 areas that they think are most impactful and go through a very deliberate series of questions to get Director Mueller to talk about the evidence that supports each of those elements of the crime.
Do you agree with that strategy quickly?
Well, that is good advice. I also think that it's important to point out in his report, he says in a number of circumstances he couldn't get the evidence because it was either destroyed or encrypted. And it would be interesting to hear his comments on that as well.
All right, we'll have to leave it there, Congresswoman. Thank you so much.